All right. I just want to show you a real quick look at what's in Iconic now. Things have changed. There's a lot of stuff you may not recognize if you've been using this for a while. Let me just go just go from the left side. So at the top tab, the early reflection envelope, if you're using the Iconic ERs right here, this switch, you're going to get this envelope. You can create the shape, log, anti-log, linear, whatever. Um, show how the timing goes for this early reflection. Mix in a regular ER engine that you hear like on any reverb. Turn it stereo or not. There's a bright or dark. Let me play this. This is gated reverb preset, so it's gonna sound a little bit goofy, but let me play this. That's the bright version of the ER. Now you may not hear too much of that as I'm not running too much early reflections in here, but if I were just to solo the early reflections, let me turn them up. That's the warm. Here's a bright. Okay. And it's not doing anything because I had it set to 100% of the standard. Here's the Iconic Reverb's early reflection. I'm going to loop this. I'm going to play with it so you can see what it does. So guitar players are already looking at, there's your reverse reverb effect, that yuk, 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 yuk kind of picking enhancer sound. Your decay shape however you want, your attack. Just an impulse, right? Anyways, that's how you do your... So there's your ER window thing. Here's your EQs. Right here is where it gets goofy, right? So this little O button, select the EQ to edit. You've got three. You've got the early reflection EQ. You've got the Iconic EQ, which really EQs the actual reverb you're creating, and then you got the tail EQ, which gets the overall into where you want it. So here's so for instance, in this one, this is my Iconic. This is the reverb generator's EQ, and here's the tail EQ. Here's the early reflection EQ. You notice on the Iconic, there's a spectrogram that kind of tells you highs to lows, intensity over, how loud it is. The darker colors is quiet or off, and the brighter colors is louder. And this tells you over time. So here's your envelopes. Okay. This is just a linear amplitude envelope that I've made here. Let me play this. Okay, now watch what happens if you can add points if you want. Let's add some points and do some weird things to it. Create like a held gated reverb. And what I can do is I can right click this and choose copy envelope to other bands. So this will go to the mid and the high bands as well. So now goofy, reset all bands. Okay. Now I need to show you that when you're in this envelope thing, so this is a low band, mid band, high band. You treat them independently. You also got a low pass filter envelope, high pass filter envelope. So let me put some nodes in here. So you can see all three bands right here. You could do some really goofy stuff with this. I'm not going to say I don't recommend it. Go ahead, do some crazy stuff. So this is your low pass envelope. Here's your high pass filter envelope. And each band has the same thing. Okay. So notice that this is where you're going to get all your crazy powers on to really manipulate this reverb into whatever you're trying to get. Um, it's really tricky and it hurts my brain, but it's there. Something else you should see is that now we've got this C, which is the compare window. So if you want, load an IR up, your impulse response, whatever. Let me see. I'm going to pull in this one of those precasty ones. And if you want to audition what that impulse response sounds like, just click the speaker icon. Okay. And then you can compare it with yours, whatever you got at the time. And notice this. Okay, here's where it gets important. What you're looking at right here is that impulse response. See that spectrogram? When I go back to C, this is the impulse, not impulse, this is the spectrogram of the reverb we have set right now. So right off the bat, what is this thing? This thing's like the total reverb time on this impulse is 3.2 milliseconds. So I'm going to crank up my reverb time to that. And look at how this goes. There's kind of a low pass filter going here. Look at the very beginning. That's probably the early reflection. So you can kind of see like this is a much different reverb, right? So let's crank this guy out a lot. Just copy this to current other bands. And I probably got to get rid of my, let's get rid of this, reset. Okay. Copy envelope to other bands. Okay, now we're looking a little bit closer, right? Now, you do a low pass filter here. It looks like we have something starting about right there. I'm not sure how low this is going to go, but actually, let's make it a little node. Maybe not quite as far. There we go. Now, of course, this ain't strictly correct, but look at that. It's a lot closer, right? Let's see what this sounds like. Okay, so we're still pretty far off, but I think you can see what we're doing here. Yeah, this is very far off. So I do another low pass there, but I'm just trying to give you a quick overview of what this thing can do and why this IR feature is here. So if you have an impulse of a reverb you like, but you can't get quite, you can't move it. You know what it's like when you try and stretch and shrink IRs. They don't always behave the way you'd like them to. This is a way to get really close. Another function that I should show is that we do still have an audition button. So it's just got a snare sample in there you can use to audition your reverb. And there is a limiter. There's a warm and bright switch for the late reflections. And if you hit the expand button, you have the dynamic section gives you a gate and a ducker, as you'd expect. Here's some gain range reduction indicators and a chorus and an octave for like shimmer effects and things like that. I think we've had this in there for a while, but these new, all this new filtering envelope stuff. I mean, this is where you just go nuts, man. Like, you can make whatever. And please send me your creations when you guys are using this. Let me know if you're having any trouble with the activation or if you have any kind of issues whatsoever.